Alright, now we'll take a look at function prototypes. And function prototype is just simply a way to announce to the rest of the program or the code that there is a function somewhere out there that has this function header with the function name, parameters, and the return type. It's a way so that functions don't have to be placed in a file in a certain order. And going back to this example here, we were looking at where we had main, which called display message, which called display message 2. Right now we have no function prototypes. We have a function header, and we have function calls, but there are no function prototypes. Now this program can be quickly broken so where it won't compile. If I was to take these two functions and instead of having them above main, have them below main. If I was to compile this, and don't even really need to compile it, Visual Studio will tell you that there's an issue sometimes, that it can't find it. But the easiest way to show you is in a compile, since that's consistent with all the compilers out there. When you compile it, you're going to get errors that it cannot build it. And this error basically that's telling you that it doesn't know what the messages or the functions are. It can't find them. Alright, so to fix that is when we add prototypes. And we do this because we don't have to sit here and want to be concerned of which function needs to be placed in the file before the other one. It's really what it was. If I had message 2 below display message, then display message wouldn't know where display message 2 is, causing more errors. So we don't have to worry about the order that we put the functions in. We start using what's called function prototypes. And they're very easy to add and very simple. So to add a function prototype for display message 2, I can just simply copy that, place it up here at the top of the file, and place a semicolon at the end of it. I now have a function prototype for display message 2. Same thing for display message. Just copy the header and make it a prototype. And the prototype simply is the function header without the body of the code, the function, and a semicolon at the end. And now this will compile and run as it did before. Because this is announcing to the compiler that somewhere down below or somewhere in the code there are two functions by this name, these two names. They have a return types of void and they have no parameters. So all it's doing is announcing to the compiler somewhere there's code in there, so don't worry about it. It will eventually find it. That's really all it's doing for the compile. It announces it to the compiler and to the program that the functions do exist somewhere, and this is what their headers look like. Basically this way the compiler can say, okay, he's calling this function display message. I'm being told this is what it looks like, meaning it has no parameters and it has a return type of void. So it fits this call here. Later on you'll see what I mean by fitting, because if it did return a value, that message doesn't really fit that call. Same thing down here when we call display message. It says, oh, okay, even though in this case this one doesn't need the folder type because display message is right above it. But if I was to change the code again and have display message 2 called from main, then it would need the prototype. So again, I can just now run this. It's no longer broken, and I should get my execution popping up. Again, the prototype is simply there to announce that somewhere in the code there is a function. And you see this is still running as it was before. Alright, so the function prototypes are simply the function headers with a semicolon at the end of it placed at the top of the file. So everything's in one file so it can find it and it knows that the functions exist somewhere else. And you don't have to worry about the order of where you place the functions inside the file. Alright. So just the whole thing has to be together, but it can be placed anywhere in the file in any order. And that's what the function prototypes give you. Again, this is a function header, and then up at the top we have the function prototypes, and then we have the function calls.